The hardest part of when a relationship ends isn't the breakup. It's the moment you hear the words you never thought you'd hear, that they don't want it anymore. Welcome to Have I Got Something to Say? I'm your host, Roberta Zambelli. Let's get into it. Before we start, if you've been listening and this is helping you, make sure you're following the podcast on Apple or Spotify so you don't miss new episodes. And you can also subscribe on Substack. And if this one hits for you, share it with someone who might need to hear it too. The hardest part of when a relationship ends is when you actually hear the words that the other person doesn't want it anymore. Because for me, that was probably the hardest part. I didn't know that was going to happen, and I really thought we were going to work it out. We had been together for so long and did so many things together, and our lives were mixed together in so many ways that I just couldn't imagine somebody was going to walk away from it, especially at a time when our kids were growing up and moving on. I really thought that at some point, not too far in the future, it was just going to be us. And of course the kids would still be around. But for the most part, they were getting older and starting their own lives. And I thought that shift was going to bring us closer in a different way. So to hear that it wasn't going to be that way, it just stopped me. I was shocked. I was scared. I was lost. I was definitely sad. And I think there was a little anger too, which is probably normal. But more than anything, I just kept thinking, this can't be happening. This cannot be happening again. If you're going through something like this right now, you're probably thinking the same thing. This can't be happening. And at the same time, you know it is. But it was happening. And from that moment on, that became my new reality. And what I didn't expect was how quickly your mind goes into trying to fix it. You start thinking, okay, what can I do differently? Maybe if I look better. Maybe if I keep things better at home. Maybe if I give more space, or maybe I'm giving too much space. Maybe I should plan something. Maybe I should reconnect. And you keep going through all of these different things in your head, trying to fix something that honestly had already been decided. And if you're in that place, you're probably questioning everything you did, what you could have done differently, what you missed, what you didn't see. Because by then, it was already too late. That person didn't want to be with me anymore. And you can feel that even before you fully accept it. It was already over. And it was probably over 3 to 6 months before I even heard the words. And I was just going through the motions at that point. Dealing with life, dealing with the kids, their activities, everything that was going on. And I think I missed the signs. And I don't think people really understand what that feels like when your life is turned upside down like that. Because when that happens, your self-worth takes a hit. Your self-esteem takes a hit. Everything you thought you were, everything you thought was stable, it feels like it just goes right out the window. And you're sitting there thinking, now what? You feel like you've been knocked down to zero. And now you have to pick yourself up and rebuild yourself all over again. And that's not easy. There were days where it was hard just to get through the day. There were days where I cried all the time. You feel withdrawn. You don't want to go out, and if you do go out, you're not really present. You're either quiet or you're talking about it the whole time because you can't get it out of your head. And weekends are hard because everybody else is out there living their life, having fun, doing things, and you're sitting there just trying to get through it. It's not a good place to be in. It's a miserable place to be in. And I think that's important to say because people need to understand that this isn't easy. This is not something you just move on from. I had to get help. I went to therapy, and I needed it. Not forever, but enough to help me understand what I was feeling and how to move through it. And at the same time, I had 2 kids I had to think about. So when everything was falling apart, I made a decision that I was going to keep their lives as stable as possible. I kept them in the same school. I didn't disrupt their lives more than what they were already going through. And I showed up for them, even when I didn't feel like showing up for myself. And that's frustrating too, because you look back and you think, how did I not see that? How did I miss that? How did I not understand what was happening right in front of me? But at the same time, I always tried to be someone who gave space. I didn't want to be that person who had a tight grip on someone because I wouldn't want that myself. So I thought I was doing the right thing. But in the end, it didn't matter. And then you try to show up. You try to be there. You try to be supportive. But when you keep getting shut down, when it's, no, I don't want to go to dinner. No, I don't want you there. No, I'm going without you. After a while, you feel it and you know it, even if you don't want to fully admit it. It's over. And then you're left trying to figure out how to live in that space while it's happening. And for me, I couldn't show up to events. I couldn't go out and pretend everything was fine because it wasn't. I couldn't lie to myself, so there was no way I was going to lie to other people. And I just started pulling back. I stopped going places. I hid a little bit. And it was incredibly hard. I can look back at pictures from that time and see it in my face. The sadness, the exhaustion, just the emotional weight of everything I was carrying. And I kept trying. I really did. But looking back now, I can say I didn't have enough self-respect at that time to just get up and walk away. I stayed. And I kept trying. Even when I knew deep down it wasn't working. The turning point for me was when I finally told my parents. That was after maybe 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, and I knew I couldn't do it alone. My kids needed support, and I needed support. And the hardest person for me to tell was my dad, because this was my second marriage ending. And I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I felt horrible. And now I have to tell my father. But when I told him, he didn't hesitate. He told me I had to stop. He told me I needed to stop doing this to myself and get out. And honestly, in that moment, it was almost like something clicked for me. Like, okay, if he doesn't want to be with me, okay. And then my dad said something that I will never forget. He said if I needed to come home, I would always have a home. And that was it. That was all I needed to hear. Because once he said that, something shifted in me. The fear started to go away. The shame started to go away. And I realized this wasn't about me. There is nothing wrong with me. And that's the shift you have to make too. This was his choice. And I had to remind myself that I've left relationships before. I've made decisions that something wasn't right for me. So when it happens to you, you have to stop thinking that it's because of you. It's not. It's that person's decision. So why are we destroying ourselves over it? Yes, it hurts. It hurts when you feel like you were more invested, when you feel like you cared more. But at some point, you have to decide how much of yourself you are willing to lose trying to hold on to someone else. And especially as you get older, you don't want that emotional burden anymore. You want peace. You want to enjoy your life. You don't want to feel like you're constantly trying to fix something. And that's something you need to start choosing too. So I had to let it go. I had to stop torturing myself. And I had to release it. Then reality sets in. Who's staying? Who's going? How long is this going to take? And what is life going to look like? He moved out. I stayed for about a year. And then I bought my house. And my kids and I moved into a new life. And I made a promise to myself that I was never going to get into that situation again. Healing took time. I was in a low place for at least 6 months. And then things started to slowly change. And after another 6 months, I started to feel like myself again. And then a few months after that, I moved into my house and really started creating my new life. I didn't take much with me because I didn't want the memories surrounding me. I wanted a fresh start. I wanted a place that felt calm and peaceful and mine. And it takes time. Even after a year and a half, you're still figuring things out. You're asking yourself what you want, what matters to you, what you're willing to accept, and what you're not willing to accept anymore. And something else I've realized is that when you're younger, you feel like if you don't have someone in your life all the time, if you're not constantly doing things with someone, then you're missing out. You feel like those are your best years, and you want to be out there living them. And it's hard not to jump into something serious. But as you get older, that changes. Because now, I don't want chaos. I don't need that. I actually like calm. And that's the shift you need to make too. I like the life that I've created. I like coming and going when I want. I like spending time with my friends and family when I want. I like seeing someone when I want, not feeling like I have to be around them all the time. I like having my own space. I like being able to travel, to go see my kids, to go on trips with friends and family, and even to go on trips with someone special. Or maybe just by myself. And that's something you really start to understand in your 50s and 60s. You realize you don't have to shape your life around someone else anymore. Your life is shaped around you. You're in control. And that changes everything. And one of the biggest lessons I learned is that you don't need to rush into the next relationship. It's okay to date. It's okay to go out. But don't jump into something serious too quickly. Don't skip the part where you reconnect with yourself. I didn't do that the first time after my first marriage ended. I just moved into something serious too quickly. And even though I thought I was doing everything right, looking back, I should have just dated. I should have taken more time for myself. But when you're in that moment, you can't even imagine someone else loving you. You start thinking something must be wrong with you because this person left. But it's not true. And it will happen again. You can't put a timeline on it, but it will happen. And when it does, it's not replacing that person. That relationship was what it was. That person cannot be recreated. The next person will be completely different. And that's a good thing. Because when someone truly loves you for you, it feels different. They see you. They listen to you. They show up. And it brings out the best in you. And through all of this, I made sure my kids were okay. I showed up for them. I was there for them, no matter what. And looking back, I know I did the best I could at that time. And my kids did well. And real healing comes when you can forgive. And when I say forgive, I mean forgiving the other person. That's the part that actually sets you free. Because when you hold on to that anger, when you keep replaying it, when you keep carrying it with you, it stays with you. It doesn't stay with them. It stays with you. And that's not what you want. So you forgive them. And within that, you end up forgiving yourself too. Because you stop blaming yourself. You stop questioning yourself. And you stop carrying all of that with you. And that's what lets you move forward. That's what frees you. Let it go. Not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. You don't rebuild your life overnight, but you do rebuild it. If this resonated with you, or if you're going through something like this right now, you will get through it. And if you want to keep listening, make sure you're following the podcast on Apple or Spotify. You can also subscribe on Substack. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send it to them. And remember, you're good.